Scene 3, Soam's room. Next morning, a very worried Soames brings Holmes and Watson into the room. Holmes has already interrogated the three students. Holmes, please call Bannister. Soam leaves and returns with Bannister. The third scene begins at Soam's room. So the next morning, that is the day of the exam, the day when exam was to be conducted, the next morning, Soames brings Holmes and Watson to his room, and Soames, by then Soames had already gone through with the three students. He had already questioned the three students, and then Holmes asked Soames to call Bannister, who was his helper. And Soames quickly leaves the room and he comes back with Bannister. Holmes, Bannister, I must tell you that when Mr. Soames called you into the room yesterday, you saw something on that chair and you sat on it before Mr. Soames could see it. Bannister, no, sir. So when Bannister comes in, Holmes asks him that Bannister, when yesterday, when you saw Soames enter the room, you quickly sat on a chair because you saw something on the chair and you did not want Soames to see it. To which Bannister says that no, sir, there was nothing on the chair and I was not trying to hide anything from Mr. Soames. Holmes, yes. And when Mr. Soames went out to find me, you opened the door and said, "You can come out now," to the man hiding behind the curtain. To which Holmes says that no, you saw something, and when Mr. Soames, there was something on the chair and you could make out, and you recognized what that thing was or to whom it belonged to. So the moment Mr. Soames went out of the room, you opened the door and you asked that person to come out from the hiding place, and that hiding place was from behind the curtain. You knew that the person was hiding behind the curtain. So the moment Mr. Soames went out of the room in order to call me, you asked the person hiding behind the curtain to come out of the hiding place. Bannister, looking afraid, there was no man, sir. So when Bannister heard Holmes say these words so confidently, he got a little bit nervous and he refuses, and he straight away says that no, sir, there was no man who was hiding behind the curtain. Holmes, Bannister, please go and stand next to the bedroom door. Soames, please go and ask young Gilchrist to come down. Soames leaves and comes back with Gilchrist. Gilchrist looks worried when he sees Bannister. So, hearing Bannister's refusal, Holmes tells Bannister to go and stand near the bedroom door, and then he asks Soames to call Gilchrist inside the room. So Soames goes out and then he comes back with Gilchrist. The moment Gilchrist sees Bannister standing near the bedroom door, he becomes a little worried. Bannister, no, Mr. Gilchrist, sir, I never said anything. Holmes, no, but you are helping us now, Bannister. Gilchrist suddenly begins to cry. Holmes goes across and puts a hand on the young man's arm. So Holmes asks Gilchrist, he did not ask for any clarification, he straight away goes to the question and he asks Gilchrist that why he copied the examination papers yesterday. And Bannister says, Bannister suddenly, comes forward and he speaks to Gilchrist and says, Sir Gilchrist, I did not say anything to them. And then Holmes says that yes, you did not, tell anything about Gilchrist. You did not accept, neither did you tell us who that person was. But now you are, because you came forward, you came and put your view in front of Bannister, in front of Gilchrist. So now you are helping us in a way. And listening to this, Gilchrist realizes that he's been caught and he starts crying. So Holmes goes to Gilchrist, and in order to comfort himself, in order to comfort Gilchrist, he puts a hand on his arms. Holmes, you did something very wrong, Gilchrist, but you are sorry now. I can see that. I am going to tell you the story, Soames. Mr. Gilchrist first saw the papers through the window. So, in a very, soft tone, Holmes speaks to Gilchrist and he says that, Gilchrist, I know that you have done something wrong, and I also know that you have realized your mistake and you are very sorry for what you have done. So then he turns to Soames and he says, okay, I'll tell you what actually happened that day. And he says that when Gilchrist was, passing through the window, he saw those papers lying on the table. Soames, but nobody can get in through the window. Holmes, that's true, but a very tall man can look through it from the garden. I could not understand this cut on the table, but then I remembered. Gilchrist likes running. This young man went running yesterday afternoon. When he walked home, his running shoes were in his hands. So Soames says, okay, you are saying that he saw the question papers from the window, but he could not enter through the window because that window is closed. It does not open. To which Holmes says that yes, nobody can enter through that window, but a person who has got a very good height can easily look through the window from the garden. If the person is standing on the garden, and because your room is on the ground floor, a person who is tall can easily look through the window and can see what is there on the table. But then at that time I was not able to make out how that table got a cut, and then suddenly I realized that Gilchrist, you have already told me that Gilchrist likes running, and that afternoon also he had gone for running. And but after coming back, when he came back from running, he was holding his running shoes in his hands. He was not wearing them, but in fact he was holding his running shoes in his hand. Watson, running shoes have spikes. Of course. Holmes, yes. Gilchrist went past this window and looked in. He saw the exam papers on the writing table. Then he went past Soames's door and saw the key in it. Watson, and he went into the room and put his shoes on the writing table, and a spike cut into it. Holmes, yes, Watson. To Gilchrist, what did you put on that chair near the window? Gilchrist, my watch. And then Watson agrees and says, yes. Okay, then he says that running shoes have got spikes. They have got pointed, spikes at the bottom. And then Holmes says that yes, when Gilchrist was passing from in front of that window, he looked in and then he saw the papers on the table. So when he came to the front door, he saw that there was a key on the front door and the door was open. And then Watson says, and he must have entered into the room and he put his shoes on the table, and because of that, the spikes of the shoes put a cut on the table. And Holmes says that yes, Watson, that is exactly what had happened. And then he turns to Gilchrist and he says that okay, you went to see the paper, and while doing so you kept your running shoes on the table, but what did you put on the chair that was near that table? To which Gilchrist says that I had kept my watch on that chair. Holmes to Soames, he puts his watch on the chair, then begins to copy one of the papers. I'm going to see Mr. Soames when he comes back across the garden, he thinks. However, you walk in through the back door, Soames. Gilchrist hears you coming, quickly takes his running shoes and runs into your bedroom to hide. One shoe leaves some black mud behind the curtain. I found the same black mud on your shoes. Soames, you have nothing to say? So then Holmes turns to Soames and he continues telling the event that happened on the day. He says that after entering your room, Gilchrist kept his shoes on the table. He kept his watch on the chair, and then he began copying your question paper. And while doing so, he was, keeping that thing in mind, that he'll keep an eye out just in case you come back from the front door, because that way he will be able to see you walk across the garden, and he will get ample time to, run or hide himself. But because you came from the back door, through the back door, he was not able to see you. And when he heard your footsteps, or when he heard your voice, he got, he quickly picked up his shoes, and he, in order to hide himself, the nearest room that was available for him to hide was your bedroom, and he went there and he hid behind the curtains. But because there was mud in his shoes, so one of the mud from one of the shoes fell on that table, as well as near the curtain, and the same black mud he saw in his shoes. To which Soames turns to Gilchrist and asks him if he has got anything to say, if you want to, clarify something about what Holmes has just said. Gilchrist: I have a letter here, Mr. Soames. Early this morning I began to write to you. It says, I am not going to take the examination. I am going to South Africa to work for the police there. Mr. Bannister talked to me. This is the right thing to do. I understand that now. So Gilchrist says that he says to Mr. Soames that, Mr. Soames, today morning only I was about to, I have a letter with me, and I started that letter in the morning, and in that letter I had written that I am not going to appear for the exam. I am not going to give this exam, and instead I have decided to go to South Africa to work in the police there. And this decision I took because Mr. Bannister, who is your servant, he talked to me and he made me realize that I have done a very big mistake, and I have done something which is not acceptable, and in fact this is the right thing that is to be done, that I'll not appear. I decided I'll not appear for the exams, and in fact I'll go to South Africa to work in police. And now I understand that what I did was wrong, and this is the right thing. Writing an apology letter, in fact you can say I have written an apology letter, and Bannister made me realize what I have done wrong and what is the right thing to do. Holmes: Gilchrist was in the bedroom, Bannister, and you didn't tell Mr. Soames. When you saw Gilchrist's watch, you sat on it to hide it. Why? So Holmes now turns to Bannister and he says, Bannister, when you knew that you saw the watch on the chair, you recognized that watch as that of Gilchrist. So at that moment when Mr. Soames was there in the room, you knew that the person who was copying those papers was Gilchrist. So you sat on that chair, you hid that watch from Mr. Soames. Why you did it? Why you did not tell Mr. Soames that Gilchrist is the person who has gone through your question papers in your absence? Bannister: Well, sir, I was once a servant to Sir Jabez Gilchrist, this young gentleman's father. When he gambled his money away, I moved to the college to be a servant, but I always remembered Sir Jabez. He was good to me, so I did everything to help his son here. Yesterday, I called young Mr. Gilchrist. You looked at the exam papers, I said to him. Did you copy them? Yes, he said, I did. Then you cannot take the exam, I said. Think of your father. He was an honest man, and you must be honest too. I wanted to stop him, Mr. Holmes. Holmes: You were right, Bannister. So when Holmes asked Bannister why he hid the identity of Gilchrist from Soames, Bannister replies that, sir, he tells him a story. He tells him about his past, and he says that, sir, Mr. Gilchrist's father, Sir Jabez Gilchrist, was a very fine gentleman, and I was a servant in their house, and he helped me a lot during my bad days. But because he got into the habit of gambling, he saw there was a downfall. He lost his money. As a result, I moved to this college where I have been serving Mr. Soyams as a servant. But I still remember Sir Jabez because he had helped me a lot during my bad days. And that is why when yesterday I saw that watch on the chair, I and when Mr. Soyams had gone to you for asking for help, I called him out. I called Gilchrist out, and I asked him if he had seen the exam papers, to which, and I also asked him if he had copied them, to which Mr. Gilchrist accepted. He said yes, he had carried it. And then I told him, because you have cheated, because you already know what is going to come tomorrow, you cannot take this exam. And then I asked him to remember his father. He makes him realize that his father was an honest man, and he too should be honest like his father. And that is the reason I wanted him to stop this cheating, and I asked him not to appear for the exams. So Holmes, he says to Bannister that that is the right thing that you have done. You were right in talking some sense of responsibility or to Gilchrist. You made him realize his mistake. You told him to not to appear. You stopped him from taking that paper, because otherwise that would have been a kind of a cheating. And you did it, and whatever you have done, whatever you did to stop him was absolutely correct.